The filter-free diary.
Good evening. It's 5:20 and actually have been thinking a lot about that New Testament because I don't think too much about the New Testament. Usually I focus on the Old Testament and just, you know, but ever since that Mary dream, which is fucking weird, I've been thinking about that story. And isn't it kind of odd that if there was such a miraculous birth, if there was wise men showing up and angels and shepherds and where is that angels? and all this stuff, right? Like, and there was, on the human side, there's like no room for this baby, and it gets surrounded by animals, and the animals are doing whatever the animals are doing. And then, a big bright star and all this noise, right? How do they lose track of a baby like that? How is there like no more stories? How is there like Magic Baby shows up and nothing else? After Magic Baby, it was old news and nobody decided to write anything else. How is that a thing? How is that a thing until like 35 or whatever, 33 or whatever it is? I mean, doesn't that seem a little odd? Like nowadays, if wise men were showing up to some baby, it would be like, some important thing. I don't know exactly what the Dalai Lama is, but Spirit says the Dalai Lama. What I'm saying is how does something so big like that happen and then it just fall flat, right? That's odd. That's odd. And not for nothing, what seems really odd is Moses had a very similar beginning, right? Like no home, floating down a river or whatever. And then you don't hear anything about him until, he leaves Egypt at like 30 or whatever it is. Like, how are these holy things and holy babies happening? And then nobody's paying attention. Like, and you are, you already know what I'm thinking about the Old Testament anyways. That it's like borrowed stories. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Because if you didn't read the whole thing, if you only could remember the cool parts, then that's the only parts that you put down in your book. Right? And maybe the other parts are still in Egypt, where they full stories and everything. You just didn't get into those chambers, or you couldn't remember, or who knows. But I started to think maybe that's a thing with the New Testament too, since it follows a very similar pattern, of big ass beginning and then nothing, and then crazy shit and the end. Like, what is that holy book really doing? And then I started thinking, maybe it's an echo. Do you think it's possible that some more stories or a different interpretation? Because not for nothing, isn't Moses like 40 years in the desert, and wasn't the holy man like 40 days in the desert? Come on. Those are weird ass similarities, guys. Really weird ass similarities. Right? And Moses had a brother, and Jesus has what, like a cousin or something, John the Baptist? Like, Or these 2x2s. Is this odd? And did anyone ever ask why about the wise men? Why did the wise men bring gold, incense, frankincense, but incense and myrrh, which is a body oil, a perfume body oil? Do you know why I stopped at the store and got incense and body oil? It's not because I'm a stinky, dirty human being. It's because I'm a stanky, skunky human being. That's why. That's fucking why. So why did the wise men show up with stuff to mask smells and then gold to buy the stuff? What is that? Why had nobody ever asked why about the wise men? They could have brought saffron, right? Which is that very expensive spice from the East, because these were wise men from, far away. They could have brought so many cool things. And what they bring is perfume. They brought fucking perfume. Is anybody wondering or asking those whys? like what the fuck? Have a good evening.